Okay, so officially welcome. We are doing something different today, which is really fun. I'm super excited to have all these people on a call with me. This is cool. But we are going to have a little panel discussion, super chill, super informal, about creating editorial shoots. This is something we've all done together. We've done apart, like they've done them on their own, like all over the place. And I think that as an educator, honestly, I see you guys doing them much, let me use the word better, just very bravely, better than most people and more intentionally. Like literally there's a reason behind why you're doing it, not just to have a styled shoot. And I love that. And I think that more people could benefit from understanding the perspective that we come in with as to why we do this and how we do this and what our goals are and all of these things. And so I love the idea of bringing everybody together to kind of chat it through in a way that they won't normally have access to. And yeah, just like learn from you guys and your experience and your results and things like that. So I'm excited to do this. First of all, let's start out really quick with like an introduction. I know it's everybody's favorite, but can you guys tell everybody who you are and what you do? Any volunteers?
I can go first.
Sure.
I'm Charlotte. I do hair and makeup. I'm based in Memphis, Tennessee, but I do destination as well. And we've done a few shoots with all of the people. And so I feel like we've all accomplished very specific and different things from each one that we've done too. So it's been really fun to keep working with all the same vendors too. So
I love it.
Hi guys, I'm Latham Stevens. I am the owner and lead designer of Latham Stevens Events and a destination wedding planner. I live in Alaska. I'm obviously not from here. I grew up in the South, about 30 miles south of Memphis, Tennessee, and I've had the wonderful privilege of living in Alaska for the past 2.5 years. And about the time that I moved here is when my business exploded and I officially became a destination wedding planner. And it was because of the editorial shoot that we planned in Jackson Hole. So I'm super excited to tell you all about that today and how it's affected all of our businesses.
Absolutely.
Okay, I'll go. I'm Mary Kate Steele, Mary Kate Steele Photography, and I'm based also in Memphis, but I shoot all over the South and also up in New England quite a bit and consider myself a destination luxury wedding photographer. So it's gonna be fun to talk today.
My name is Skylar Ball. My company's name is Skylar Ball Films. I'm based in Knoxville, Tennessee now, but I was based in Memphis a couple of years ago. So that's kind of how I got linked up with this whole crew. So I've been doing videography since 2017. Like I said, I'm based in Knoxville, but kind of serve all over the Southeast as well as a little bit of destination.
Elizabeth.
I'm Elizabeth, EH of EH Blooms. I'm a floral designer and based in Memphis, but hoping to continue to expand outside of the Memphis market for sure.
I love that. And you flowered in some in Cape Cod at least now. Like you're stretching out there. I love it.
Yes.
Awesome. Okay, so if you couldn't tell, we do have a tie to Memphis. We knew each other all personally before we started doing shoots. I think trust and relationship is important in knowing, we'll talk about that a little bit more about like who you can work with. But this little crew is not the full example of all the team that was part of these shoots. It's just a little bit. And a lot of the extended team was not Memphis. Like depending on where you were, we had people out of area, local, non-local, like all of the things. So even though I do want to point out that everybody, we kind of like knew each other through each other in a regional way, it was not limited to that. Like we definitely built relationships with people in the spaces that we were creating these shoots too. So just wanted to put that out there as far as that goes. So let's dive in. I've got some questions I'm going to ask, but if we deviate, I'm totally okay with that. And if anybody in the chat has questions as well, we want to answer those. Okay. We've got the time to do it and we'll get through as much as we can possibly get through before everybody has to hop off. Okay, so question number one. When you do an editorial, what is the main goal that you're trying to accomplish? And before I go into that, I keep using this word editorial. Let me just knock that out real quick. A lot of people say styled shoot. It is the same thing in a sense, okay? But styled shoots for years were a trend. And a lot of times they were done in a fashion that was like more of a group activity. It was more of a just a creative outlet. We want to get together and we want to shoot things, and maybe 20 people are shooting the same thing. So we use the word editorial very intentionally, because what we're doing is creating a full experience, beginning to end, with details and experiences visually represented, mood, emotion, storyline, all of it. And that to me is so much more than just setting up a pretty scene and shooting it. And so I did want to kind of explain why we use the word editorial as opposed to styled shoot. Everybody agree with that? Anything to add in general? Okay. But let's go back to that question. I just didn't want to skip that. When you're doing it, what would you say is your main goal you're trying to accomplish? Or 1 to 2 of those goals? Anyone?
Okay.
Yeah.
I have 2 main goals, and I think they hold equal weight when I was thinking about how to answer this question. One of the main goals is to build trust and credibility, and long-term relationships with vendors. It's an editorial shoot is a wonderful way to bring in like-minded creatives and let each person's ability flourish. There wasn't one of us on the shoot that stole the spotlight. Each of us had trust, and in each person's ability that they brought to the table, and building the team that agreed with the goal that we had in mind was really important. And I think that is a beautiful thing that comes out of an editorial shoot. And also to get beautiful marketing material to scale your business. That is obviously extremely important. And that's what we have all accomplished with these editorial shoots that we've done.
Anyone else? What would you add to that as to why you do these?
So for me, I think I have 2 main goals as well. The first being filling gaps in my portfolio that I don't have. So whenever we did our Jackson Hole shoot, the big gap in my portfolio was destination work. I had a lot of stuff from around Tennessee and even like surrounding states, but really no destination work to show for that. So that is one of the main reasons that I do editorials, is to kind of fill those gaps. And then the second reason is to kind of align myself with other vendors who that I want to be associated with. So like all the people in here are fantastic and people that I want to be associated with business wise. So that is definitely a driving factor in kind of like deciding what styled shoots that I want to be a part of.
Yeah, I would agree with that. To piggy off of Skylar, those were 2 main ones for me as well. And I'd say specifically, I really wanted to grow my destination reach to specific locations that I've had in my back pocket that I've wanted to do for a while. And New England and Jackson Hole were 2 big ones for me. And so being able to like connect with vendors that were aligned with the direction I want to go in as a photographer or as a creative in the wedding industry, and be able to like work with them and go to that destination was so surreal. It was really cool. And it really helped like add the things that I was missing in my portfolio personally, as well as being able to show that like we went and we know the area and we've got to work with local vendors too, which I think is also really important. And Latham did a phenomenal job of finding local vendors that aligned, like she said, with our vision, like just the skill set that we were looking for this editorial, because that is really important. And it was just magical. It was so magical. I've been a part of a lot of style shoots over the years, and I will say something with what Skylar said. It is so important to like be choosy about
Mhm.
like what shoots you want to do, because ultimately you're putting your work out there and you want your work to really align with your goals, your vision, the clientele that you're wanting to attract.
Mhm.
I would even say too, even if your goal isn't necessarily destination, like it depends on where everyone's from, but
Mm.
I know for a lot of us, because we do work here and to tag team on the whole community aspect, one of the main things of why we do editorials the way we do is because we're also trying to create, what's the word for it? But it's like we're trying to bring some of that into where we are as well, because a lot of us do local as well as destination, and kind of filling the gap of design that we see in our area as well. Just something we just want to bring something new to the table every time, because like every bride is different, so we want to bring like something new to every bride, because it's that's kind of where I come in on certain things. It's like what I see Memphis not doing, or like my general area. That's kind of where I kind of drive certain aspects of why I do editorials. And of course, the obvious one being working with like the right community, because that can, when everyone's doing their job so well, then you can only like do so much better in a day, because then it's like you don't have to worry about other aspects of the day. And so that's kind of my two reasons for doing editorials. It's like bringing something new back with me, and then showing bride stuff, or just again like investing in your own community of vendors. That's kind of my two things. But
Elizabeth, anything to add? Why would you join us in our crazy pursuits?
Yeah, for sure. Well, as a floral designer, I feel like when you have a vision of like where you're wanting to go, or maybe your work is continually evolving, you're learning, your style is, changing as the market changes and as you have new inspiration. For me, that's constantly happening. And so I don't want to be doing the same thing I was doing 2 years ago. So an editorial is just a way to a vehicle to the next level of your business for me. Um, and that under that is everything that we've mentioned, right? Like working with new vendors and vendors that are headed the same direction. But just like the quote, like a rising tide lifts all boats. It's really for me what editorial shoots have done for my business. And we talked about this a little bit in the kickoff call, but when there's not the type of work that you want to do in your market, an editorial shoot is the perfect way to lead your market and to be giving ideas to the industry and your clients. And it is our responsibility to like step up and lead the way if that's not out there. And I think that for me, editorial shoots have been like the perfect opportunity and investment to do that.
So what's interesting, and this is going to lead into our next question, is I'm going to just say the loud thing that I say all the time is all those are beautiful reasons. And I would say that between you as a team have worked on at least 2 shoots together, and more. Like, honestly, what am I saying too? And everything that you just said, I would say you have seen happen, correct? Like, would everybody agree that like your
Yes.
goals were met?
Yes.
100%.
The goal
Over and over again.
yeah,
And more.
times 100. And I'm just going to say, like, you said all the beautiful reasons and the strategic reasons and all that. And I'm going to say the money reasons, like, because I'm that person and I will say them. And that leads into the next question. But reality is, I don't do things that don't have ROIs. Like, that is my goal, because I don't have time as a business. Yes, we want to enjoy our lives and we want to build relationships and we want to have quality work and all these things. And you guys did that, and it's awesome. I'm over here in the corner as a business coach going, okay, did it make you money? And I don't mean to sound tacky, but at the same time, we're businesses. We have to think like that. And the answer to me from having conversations with you guys is yes. And I think that that's important pointing out that the reason we need to build relationships, the reason we need to show this portfolio and all this is because we're artists and we're creatives, but also we're businesses. So can it result in business? And I side texted people yesterday and asked some numbers. And guys, I was blown away even myself. And I didn't even get all the answers, but between just one of the shoots, there were over like 15 events booked from the Jackson Hole shoot, for example, and over multiple six figures in profit that resulted in that. So was it an investment to put on a high quality editorial? Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Was it worth it in the business sense and the emotional sense and the psychological sense and all of it? I would also say absolutely. Would you guys agree?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
I have here in my notes, I did write high. It is the highest return on an investment. For me, even as a floor designer, which is a large investment in material for me, not just time, it still is the highest return on my investment for marketing and for my business.
Yeah. And I do think it's important kind of to point out that the way, and we'll get into this a little bit with tips and advice and things like that, but the reason why we're saying editorial, the reason why we're saying not saying styled shoot, and that we're intentional about who we're bringing in and the vision and that everybody's aligned and everybody's a partner and like all of those things is that if you were at a styled shoot where 20 people were doing the same thing you were doing, do you think you would have had the level of results
No,
that you had?
absolutely not. No.
I do not have a problem with group style shoots. I think they're amazing.
I will say
This
this.
was not it.
I have participated in several like large group styled shoots with multiple photographers and all that. I think that they can be a great goal depending on what that goal is. But for me, I did not want content that 20 other photographers had that was the same. I wanted to be different and I wanted to present a gallery or portfolio to to a client or just to have for myself that I would be proud to share that wasn't also being shared by 20 other photographers. But I knew I was at a point in my business and personal growth as an artist that I needed to do that. When I first started out, those group style shoots were great because I didn't have to invest as much and I was still getting beautiful content that I could post and it did get me some wonderful weddings. But I did reach a point where that was not serving me the same way as me investing a lot more money, but getting to have a style shoot, or I'm sorry, an editorial that was like truly just mine as a photographer. So that's my
Esperanza said, when you plan an editorial, what are the top 3 outcomes you expect? And that is something that we've kind of covered each individually because it's different based on different people. But her first word was press, that as her question. And I just want to cover that.
Yeah.
When we do editorials, we do not go in with the goal of publication. Okay. And that's because there's so many other reasons that are so much more important, and publication is not guaranteed unless it is hosted by a publication that has skin in the game that has already pre-guaranteed it. Does that mean we don't want to be published? Absolutely not. Like, we have a cute picture of Mary Kate and Latham and me in Jackson Hole holding Rocky Mountain Bride where
In the grocery store.
in the grocery store dancing because it was published and we were published. But we didn't go in with that goal. That is an intention. It's not something we're avoiding, but like at the same time,
It was kind of like icing on top of
Yeah.
the cake for us.
It was.
And I remember when I did my first I keep calling it style shoot, my first editorial with Amanda here in Tennessee, but I wanted it to feel like a New England wedding. And of course, one of my goals was like, I want to get published. And, she's my coach and she had to help me understand like that shouldn't be like the first goal. And it really helped me kind of reframe my approach because you know what, that publication didn't, or that editorial didn't get published. But I still use those images to this day. They're on my website, and I still get so much feedback from that shoot. So,
Mhm.
and I have booked weddings from it too.
Yeah. The ROI is awesome.
Yeah.
And again, we're going to kind of get to this with our questions, but I just think it's the elephant in the room. So let's just dive into it because I think it's important. Nicole said, when wanting to do an editorial shoot, how do you handle the cost? Let's get to the nitty gritty. And I know some venues in the area I work with would want to do one regardless, requires payment plus the auxiliary cost. It's an investment. Like, I think all of us can agree it's an investment.
Yeah.
And if it's in a destination, there's travel investment too. Latham, you're
Yes.
the planner of the group. Do you have any
I have a lot to
thoughts on
say
this?
about this topic.
Yes.
I have a lot to say about this topic because I'll be transparent. I was in a place in my business that I didn't have a lot of money to invest. I was still like, I was approaching year 5 at this point, and I had just hired Amanda to be my business coach because I was ready to go to the next level. And I was trying to decide, like, what do I invest in my business? I don't want to waste money. I don't want to collaborate with all these people and not have anything to give because that's not fair. So I think number one, just like I would tell my clients, transparency is key. Like, you need to have a conversation about money in the beginning, decide what your budget is, decide what each person is willing to contribute, whether it's monetarily, it's time, it's skill, it's all of those things. And then, like, when I was planning, doing market research in the area that aligned with the budget and the aesthetic, and people who were willing to come in and donate time and money, was really important. So for people who are newer and you're like, this looks so luxurious and like crazy expensive, how am I going to do this? Start saving your money and invest it in your business. This is the best way to do it. You're not going to regret the money that you put into it, because every dollar that you put into it, you're going to get back tenfold, like we did. It was worth every penny. And it was scary for me. I'm like, I'm putting this money in. What if this doesn't happen? What if this doesn't happen? That's why it's so important to build the right team. And that's what happened for all of us. Is the team was amazing. And as a planner, I don't know if there's any other planners in here, but doing your market research is so important. The benefits that came from me getting plugged into the Jackson Hole market, like, it's not even like I can't even put it into words or like put a number on it, because it literally changed my entire business. And I shared this with Amanda yesterday, and all of you know this, but one of the goals for me was to not only break into the destination market, but also change to a percentage-based contract. And because of the editorial shoot we did in Jackson, I did that, which made the ROI like exponential off of the shoot. So talk about money. It's okay.
Yes.
Well,
Are we like getting specific about numbers,
You
or
can
no?
if you want to.
I was gonna add this. Sorry, MK, I'm gonna say this real quick.
No, you're
Coming
good.
from a lot of people who like, I hear this a lot from hair and makeup artists about the whole like investment thing. Because as a whole, we're one of the least paid, I would say, out of like the overall. It might depend, obviously, on a number of things, but like usually our packages start a little bit smaller. Um, but you're either paying your money in like a tax form, like as a write-off, or you're like paying the government in your taxes. So like that's kind of how like if you really want to get like the money, is like you're gonna be spending it either way. It's make it actually work for your business rather than saying like I can't afford that. Like making that concerted effort of like mapping it out, like either the government gets that or I can spend that right back into my business and now I have this big write-off that I can have. That's kind of how I always saw it, as someone who like usually doesn't have like the kind of budget that I can like pitch into, but it's either one or the other for me, and that's a form of education for me as well. because I learn more from other vendors than I ever have from another hair and makeup artist, really. Like it's just business is 75% of it. And then, you got your little like 10% in like people skills and then the other percent, I'm not good at math, so I'm not gonna do the rest of that math. I've already lost it. But anyway, that's kind of my only thing is coming from somebody because I hear that a lot from people who are like, have a smaller package and they're like, I don't have the money for that. And you do, it's just how you want to spend
It
it.
takes sacrifice too. Like, let's to be honest. It
Anyway, sorry, MK. Sorry.
you might not should eat out and get coffee every day for a couple of months. Like, put that money back, put it into, it takes, yeah, it takes sacrifice. But sacrifice for the right reasons is always a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
And I will sorry, MK, go ahead. You do.
Oh,
What were you gonna say?
no. I wasn't sure if we were actually getting into real numbers or if that would be helpful. I honestly, doing my first editorial with Amanda, had no idea the cost that it could potentially be. And then going into our Jackson Hole shoot, I had a much better idea of what that was going to look like. So that was helpful just so that I could kind of start planning ahead. But it's definitely an investment. So I wasn't sure if we were
We
going
can,
to actually
as
break it
much
down.
as you want to. I mean, if you have a nice
I
round
do think
I
number.
will
it's
say,
helpful. I do
I
think
will
it's
say,
helpful.
oh, sorry, Latham.
No, you go ahead and Mary Kate. I'm just saying I do think it's helpful if you want to dive into real numbers. Like, let's go for it.
Yeah, I mean, so I think for me, like one of the things I had to understand early on was that there are certain vendors that are going to have an upfront cost, like florals. And it is not realistic, in my opinion, personal opinion, to expect a florist to foot that bill themselves. Me being a photographer, obviously, I am giving away my own time and taking the time to edit and to shoot, but that's not a cost to me. That's directly going to be my bank account. Kind of the same for like hair and makeup. Like makeup costs money, and Shar was using her own makeup that she bought on her own to put on the models. Now, but like for florals, that's such a hefty upfront cost. We, between all of us, I don't even remember the major breakdowns, but we had, we talked about, okay, how do we, take some of that load off of the florist that helped us with Jackson Hole? So we pitched in for that. And the other thing I think is really important is when if you choose a destination like Jackson Hole has like they do have a really great market because that's a popular place to get married, which is one of the reasons why we wanted to do it. But the vendors there, they don't necessarily like not all the vendors there necessarily have to have an editorial the way we wanted to have one. So for instance, like the rentals that we used, we also had to invest a bit into getting exactly what we envisioned for those rentals. We didn't just take whatever was like offered to us necessarily as like a comp. And that obviously was a personal decision that we all made together, but it paid off because it accomplished the vision we had for the shoot. And like our brides that see that, they love that. They love to see
Can
the
I say
design
something about
aspect.
rentals really
Yeah,
quickly?
totally.
So for the rentals specifically, one of the things that was important was me making a relationship with the luxury rental vendor there. And she allowed me to go pick up and return the rentals so that we didn't have that delivery fee, which saved us several $100s. But if you don't make those relationships, they're not going to trust you to do that. So they let me come to the warehouse, look at the items, made sure that we all liked them. And then the day before the shoot, we were able to go pick them up, deliver them to the venue, and then return them ourselves. So that was a good way to save a little bit of money there. All right, Mary Kate,
Someone
keep
did
going.
ask about specific costs. I know from what I remember, I think personally with flowers and rentals, I mean, it was an upwards of over 3,000 just
Yeah.
just for the shoot. That did not include the travel to
Travel.
get there, the stay there, all the
The
miscellaneous things.
models, the,
The
you know,
models, like we
the
paid for the models,
all of the luggage that was added
yeah.
extra.
And there's
So, I mean,
so many miscellaneous things. Like,
yeah.
guys, please just make an entire line item for shipping.
Yeah.
Like
Yes.
shipping, nothing but
Yeah.
shipping. Like
Yeah,
it's,
yeah,
yeah.
shipping, then like renting or we did get to work with Liz Martinez Bridal, which was amazing. But that there's still costs there. Like we still had to cover the cost to ship it back and make sure that the dresses we had a cleaning fee. Like there's just things like that that you don't really think about in the moment when you're have this really beautiful idea for an editorial. You just have to really also be thinking. I mean, we're basically putting together a small version of a wedding day,
Yes.
So
I have the actual expenses if y'all want me to share them.
Get
yeah.
into it,
I have
girl.
them.
I don't even
Okay.
remember anymore.
I have it written down because a lot of people, photographers or other planners or people who are wanting to plan shoots are like, I don't even know what to budget. So I was like, I should just figure it out. Write it down. Okay. The Airbnb was $440 a person. The flights for the models were $420 a piece. Or was that total? I think that was total actually. No, that was a piece. So $846 for the flights. Linens were $208. Hobby Lobby decor. So we did these gorgeous horses and we spray painted them gold and it was beautiful. $112. Rental car, $563. We got a big expedition to haul everything. Flowers were $1,545 our cost, but Joni the florist,
She went above and
It could
beyond.
have been way more than that.
she invested a lot of her own money that we don't know that number because she is precious. And then the rentals were $1,375. So, oh, I'm sorry. The total cost for flowers was $4,605. I do have that written down. So we all invested at least $1,000 in flowers, plus Joni went above and beyond. So I'm gonna say that's about okay, yeah.
Just a tiny peek at some of the flowers.
$7,000-ish all in split between us in ways that we were comfortable.
I say that there's another one to add to that. So the models alone, their average for the day, because we had like a modeling couple, that was an added, I believe their daily rate is $850, and that's not including travel. So you just mentioned their travel costs, but that would even add on top of it. And then I feel like there was something else with that, but
so the things that we got for free were venue, photographer, planner, the like big rentals, tables, chairs, and lounge furniture, videographer, hair and makeup, wedding gowns. And some of us were able to book our personal flights on points if you want to count that as free. So even with those things being like comped for us, the investment was still great.
And I will add a note here too, that Charlotte, Elizabeth, Schuyler, and I had done a editorial this past spring here in Tennessee, and the rentals for that were not. They gave us like probably like a wedding industry price point, but we did end up having to pay for like some portion of those rentals. So you're never guaranteed any of that to be comped. You kind of have to go into it with the mindset that it might not be.
Yeah.
And it's okay to make budget-based decisions.
Yeah.
Partnerships are great, and it may be part of what results in your vendor team and to some degree, like knowing that you only have X amount of dollars, and if you want a sailcloth Sperry tent, like it's not happening, but if another vendor that you've never worked with before is volunteering a sailcloth tent, like that might influence your decisions, so like some of it is you have the budget you have to work with, and that's okay. and you pull people that it mutually benefits everyone, and then that helps that cost be balanced out. But sometimes you just have to pay. Like, I mean, it's the same for our clients, right? Inside the industry. Like, we understand that. Going and knowing that too. But looking for the opportunities is always smart.
Yeah.
Charlotte, there was a makeup artist question. I want to go back to it because I don't want her to like get missed.
I
Did you see Raquel's question?
And I was very poorly typing it out because
Okay.
I was like looking at that.
So I'm going to read it real quick. As a makeup artist, if you see there's an international shoot in a dream location of yours, do you pitch yourself for it, or do you usually have the planner have the planner reach out to you? I find that makeup and hair are usually booked locally, and would be a dream for me to participate in an editorial shoot, specifically in Italy or France. I just don't know where to even start or how to pitch myself for a shoot like that.
So there's two parts to this, and I'll preach this till the day I die, because this has always been networking itself is the sole reason for all of this. And if you can't get in with a community, make your own. That's what we've done. And it kind of tacks on to one of our other questions that we'll go over later that I'll probably talk out of my ears for. But the connections alone for something is usually worth the cost of something like this. So this particular shoot, MK and I were coming back from a trip.
We went to Boston.
And that's okay. So the first time, that's what I thought it was. But I was like, am I remembering that right? So MK had found this inspiration. It usually kind of starts off as like one of us in the community has like a specific thing that we're just like, I'm dying to like do some version of this kind of like theme, or this is something that we haven't seen. Like, usually kind of starts off in that way. So this last time was MK saying this, and she kept repeating like, we're gonna have to go to Wyoming. And I was like, yo, okay. I was like, sure, girlfriend. But I was
the
like,
story behind it.
We're like up in the sky. I was like, we're shooting high. Like, all right. And then it worked out. It's like, I can eat my own words now. But so that one was because I knew MK, and I was like, well, frick yeah, like I'll be there. Like, trust I will be there. And that was the first time. That I feel like all the other times I've usually been either stuck in a rut and I've just been like craving something. So then I reach out to, again, my community, and then somebody else usually has either a similar idea or we tag team off that, and then we spearhead that, and then we keep going. I feel like I've been asked by certain people to do like locational things, but it's kind of funny because it's also the same network of same people that we just did all this from. Like, it's one of us doing something. Like, because I work with Latham, I can give her one of my brides because they fit together perfectly. Like, it's the network that you've already made, and there's only however many of us are there. I'm good at math. There's 6 of us right now. But that alone, like, it's just their community. It's all networking based. And that's how I would say you would get any sort of shoot. And if you're not finding a community, then make it. And that's just what we've tried to create, because we weren't, no business owner has ever been content in their own work. So we're just going to keep going and never be satisfied.
And Raquel, as far as like opportunities go, if you see an opportunity, ask for it, because like the worst thing you're going to get is no. Like, seriously, the worst thing you're going to get is no. So if you know like that there's someone that, for example, puts on editorials in France, and you see that they do it regularly, reach out and say, hey, this is a goal for me. I'd love to donate my services and be a part of this, if donating is part of what you can do. And then they're going to have you on their radar. If you don't say anything, you are probably not on their radar, because our world is so big. It's not personal. It's just they don't know. So like, if you reach out and say, hey, this is a goal of mine. If the opportunity arises, I'd love to make it happen. How can we work together? And then being okay with, if they say no, we've already got someone locally, you're like, okay, next time, keep me in mind, right?
Yeah.
I'll cover my.
I'll kind of I can kind of piggyback off of that. So I lived in Knoxville and I was moving to Memphis. So as I was doing that, I was kind of trying to like build my network over there. That way I like had business over there and everything. So I reached out to Latham and I was like, hey, if you ever need any like free work, I would love to be a part of it. So we did that like in, gosh, it was probably like April of
Hmm.
23, I think, sometime like
Yeah.
that. And then I moved to Memphis in June and went to like some networking night or something like that we had.
Mhm.
And Latham was like, "Hey, we're having this editorial in like 2 weeks." Like I joined it like 2 weeks before it actually
Yes.
happened.
I
And she was like, "Do
I
you
was
want to
like,
come to
I've got to
Jacksonville and
go.
be a
I've got
part
to
of it?"
go.
And I was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna have to see if that works, but I'd love to
P.S.
if
You
I
have to
can."
sleep on a couch.
Yeah, yeah.
Sorry,
So I
Marty
went and I
was
slept
there
on the couch,
meeting.
and it was
gradually
totally
rolling
worth it.
around
The
and
But
crazy thing
got
too
it.
is Skylar and I had a wedding together randomly in Chattanooga, like earlier, or maybe that was like the year before or something. It was nuts, and like it's just, yeah, community is so important,
yeah,
and
When
building
you
it.
have when you have like-minded goals, like you're gonna
Mhm.
attract those kinds of
Yes.
people. Yeah, like all of us here are like-minded in our business sense. And honestly, in our personal lives as well. We all have connections in our personal lives.
Hashtag
Um,
homeschool.
I was about to say that.
I just put that out there. I'm sorry.
it's okay.
We all fight
We
each other.
we do all have personal connection, which is beautiful because I'm a big believer, and some people may disagree with this, but that's okay. I'm a big believer in your personal life bleeds into your business. Like you cannot separate the two because who you are behind closed doors is always going to come out in your business. The way your integrity, your morals, all that is. And so it's important for those, the foundation of who you are aligns with the people that you're getting into business with.
Mhm.
Because when your foundation is grounded in the right things and you link arms with those people, I mean, you are gonna soar. You're gonna soar. And that's what happened with all of us in this group.
yeah.
And
And one
relation.
connection just leads to the next too. Like
Yes.
I made that connection with Latham, and I know me and Mary Kate hadn't met before, but it kind of like strengthened our relationship too, just working together through Jackson
Mm-hmm.
Hole. And we've worked
Mm-hmm.
on so many weddings now at this point together. We were like
Mm-hmm.
featured in brides together. So like we've
Yeah.
had so many great opportunities pop up through that.
Yeah.
And it's also like, I mean, the relationships are so important. And that was part of how we came together. But then, I mean, this isn't the business strategy side, but we had fun.
We
Like we
did.
went horseback riding. Skylar
Mhm.
flew his drone in traffic on the side of the road,
Yeah.
On the
like
side of the mountain.
on the side
Yeah.
of the Teton
We were
Pass,
stuck in traffic.
like
What else to do?
right? And like we're like, I hope it comes back.
Yeah.
But we had fun. And I know, like, Elizabeth, you weren't in Wyoming, but I know that you guys have stories to tell. We don't have to get into those stories from the shoot you guys did that was the Nancy Myers inspired shoot and all that. But like, we went in with a relationship, we came out with a stronger relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And like, when people ask for referrals, there is no question in my mind. Like,
Yep.
it's great. So the ROI is beyond just obviously the money, but and the connections. And it's I don't think there's any reason why I wouldn't ever work with this team ever. You know?
Do you want me to share a little small piece of my ROI?
Sure.
Yes.
Okay. So before the styled shoot, I did flat fees for my packages, and I was not charging enough money. So off of the styled shoot, I booked 5 weddings at a flat fee. And the total of those 5 weddings, how do I word this? Equaled the same amount as one wedding that I did on a percentage-based contract because of the styled shoot. So
She learned.
if you're a planner, DM me and I will help you change for 2% contract. It's worth it. It is worth it. Your time is worth it. Yeah. So 5 weddings or 1 wedding?
Debbie has a great question. I think that there's a lot to unpack in it because again, it kind of differentiates styled shoots from editorials within her question ourselves. So I do want to kind of say that, like, when we're doing an editorial, it's really truly a community effort with a common goals, with a common vision to grow our business. Debbie's talking about planning styled shoots for other people. And I do think that there is a lot that has to happen from the planning perspective. Latham knows, like, we relied on her so heavily, and she was amazing. And like, she deserves an award and a spa day and like all the things. She personally spray painted those horses gold. Let's just point that back out, and carried them in her luggage. So it's
Mary Kate helped.
Yeah.
Late at night, we got like 1 hour sleep.
We took trips to Hobby Lobby like how many times? We were going
did.
all over
We bought
Memphis
all of them
to find all the horses.
all the
Yeah.
horses. Those
We got to
toy
find a
horses.
picture of these horses.
Yeah.
To spray paint them.
So funny. But so like Debbie, to me, it sounds like you're almost wanting to make styled shoots an offer for planning, which is a thing. It's okay to charge for what you do. And if people are reaching out to you to be a planner for their shoots, it's okay to put monetary value on that and make that an offer. But in this situation, we value Latham, but her contribution was her experience and her expertise. So we weren't necessarily also like, in time for sure. It wasn't a like, we were paying her to do this. Could you do that in your own business? Sure. You'd have to define that for yourself. Oh, Debbie's a photographer. I don't know why, like the planning side got me. Okay. So you plan all the things, including the shoot and everything. Well, first of all, find you a planner.
Yeah.
Yes,
I
that's
mean,
in
so
what
I
I
remember,
yeah.
I remember when I was like, I had talked to Amanda about this shoot. We kind of like were just bouncing around, and I had just started to get to know Latham, and this was in January, and we did the shoot in September. So it took that long for us to like really plan. And I think that's another really good tidbit that we could talk about, at some point. But I think timing is, you need to give yourself enough time to plan to be really thorough. But I remember asking Latham, like, we have this crazy like idea. What do you think about it? And we had no idea that even she and I and Amanda, we all have like personal connections to Jackson Hole. So anyway, I do think that that's just a part of like finding your community. You just start reaching out and building networking and building those relationships, seeing who you feel might be a good fit for that. Latham was, she spearheaded so much of that editorial for us.
And
So
somebody
I don't know
did
if that
ask.
answers the question.
Yeah, no, I would say as a photographer, you can do it on your own. It's not that
Yeah.
you can't, but I do think you will benefit from the relationships you build with planners and accessing their skill set.
I
So
will
find
say,
you a planner.
the one that Amanda, the first one that you helped me do was the New England styled one. I mean, that was I did a huge part of that, all of those things, and it was great. It really gave me appreciation for like what planners do and like what I'm not good at. I can do it, but I'm not going to be nearly as good as someone like Latham, and so that helped me understand the value of bringing on a planner, but also like, because it's a team effort at this point, making sure that like even Latham is, as a planner, being like, if there's certain things that she's wanting to accomplish with that editorial, that was being considered. All of us had personal goals as well as like a group of goals that we had, and so just trying to like make sure that we all kind of were benefiting personally and as a group, if that makes sense. No.
Yeah.
So
definitely want to make sure that it's beneficial for everyone. And just full transparency, like with Skylar coming, just going to toss Skylar into this. It was a point for me that I wanted to make sure that he got a lot out of it too, because editorials do tend to lean more photo based. But cinematography is just like unparalleled. Like, it changes everything, and it creates an emotion and a mood that we like struggle to do without, right? So can you speak to that, Skylar, as a cinematographer, like deciding what's right for you to be in a part of it and making sure you get a lot out of it?
For sure. Yeah. So like I kind of mentioned earlier, like a big portion of it for me is filling gaps in my portfolio. So what I really wanted to go in and do with this is like, all right, I want content for social, to promote myself as a destination wedding videographer, and then I want content for my website. So if you go to my website today, you'll see a ton of like stuff from our Jackson Hole shoot. So that was a real motivating factor for me in choosing to be a part of it. Plus, I mean, I just love Jackson Hole and love traveling, so that was also a big thing for me. But since that shoot, I had another wedding in Jackson Hole this past August. And it was one of the biggest weddings I've ever done. It was like a 3-day event. And they had like a welcome party, a rehearsal dinner, and the wedding day. And then through that wedding, I'm shooting another wedding this weekend. That's a destination wedding, so I have that going on. So through that shoot, like there's just been multiple things that have kind of just like started to stack on top of each other. And that would not have happened without the content that I got from that. So content and just aligning myself with other good creative partners is definitely a big motivating factor for me.
I love that. I love that. Elizabeth, as floral design, and you, like we said, like have a larger investment wholesale wise, like it's not time and skill and everything, but also product. Do you have any tips for when to say yes and when to say no?
Well, absolutely. It needs to be the direction that you're wanting to go. Like I said, like the next level. If it's already the same work that you're doing and you're already putting out, I feel like you're just spinning your wheels. You know, unless it's giving you something that you need, right, to get to where you want to go. And so I've learned with editorial shoots, like it is worth setting aside money from my other weddings or things I'm doing to save up for one intentional, larger, impactful shoot that's going to have that return on investment, because I could put, a small amount into 3 or 4 styled shoots, right? Because it's still costing me money. And maybe get a small return, get a little bit of content, meet a few people. And at some point in my business, that's where I was. In the very beginning, I just needed good photos. I needed practice. I needed relationships in that situation. But now that I'm in a different point in my business, right? I've got traction. I have a clearer vision on where I want to go, what market I want to be in. Then deciding, what vendors are involved, what investment is going to be, all of that helps me to decide yes or no. Another crucial part, we've talked about this, your vendor team. And you touched on it a little bit, Latham, but just the character, knowing these people align with your values, personally and professionally, their reputation in the industry is all going to matter. And that should all be taken into account, for sure, or at least I do, whether I'm saying yes or no on an editorial at this point.
I love that.
Mhm.
I thought of a question. Oh, okay. So Grace has asked a version of a question a couple times, and I do want to ask it. And it kind of goes into my question about like how to make them execute well. So we're going to kind of tie into the timeline of this experience. And I can speak from my experience that it generally, what happens is it all starts with an idea and a conversation. And that can come from any direction, like any vendor, photography, planner, floral, cinematographer, makeup, all of it. It's like somebody has this spark of idea, and it never fails. It's always near someone else. Like, I swear this is how this works. And so like, Mary Kate and Shar had like the conversation on the plane, we should go to Wyoming. And Mary Kate and I had sat in a field like a year before and been like, oh, we should go to Wyoming. And then Latham's like, my dad lives in Wyoming. And so there's always like this spark of idea, or like Mary Kate with really loving the Nancy Meyers look or the New England. It's just an idea that like blooms and grows. But I will say it starts with the idea. It doesn't say start with I need an editorial. What's the theme? It's like, I have an idea and a gap and a need. Now I need to create an editorial. So it starts with the idea. And I think once you have a loose vision of what it is that you're trying to create, so the idea then goes to kind of a broader idea of like style, theme, everything. It's not nailed down. It's just the idea. once you have the idea, you can start checking your vendor pool to see who's interested and who's aligned. But until you have the idea, you can't really figure out who's aligned because you don't know if they're going to fit. And then I feel like we just got together and talked. And it was a group effort. We did lean on Latham for design and planning and things like that, but she also asked our input. And, you know, like I pulled a lot of dresses and things like that, but I'm texting people saying, do you like this dress? It's not just an all or nothing. It's really a community evolution of the idea. But then it goes into logistics. And Latham, I feel like you can probably speak better on logistics than any of us.
Yes. Okay. So from a planning standpoint, so Mary Kate and Amanda and Shar had this idea, and I was like, I'll plan it. I had never planned an editorial before. Okay. And I was like, just say yes, stretch yourself, surround yourself with people who are going to push you to the next level. Okay. And so we started chatting and like putting together mood boards and deciding on the aesthetic direction that we wanted to go. And then from there, I knew what we wanted it to look like. So that's when I started working, like plugging into the Jackson market, lots and lots of emails and phone conversations. And to be fully transparent, a lot of no's. Like no, or
we're Googling, like trying to find a
yes,
venue.
literally,
I
I messaged 15 different venues in Jackson Hole. That's where we started was with venue, because that kind of helped guide the vision as well. And we would either get no, we're not interested in that, or it's going to cost $10,000 to use our dirt for 5 minutes. And we're like, yeah, that's probably not the fit. So, that took weeks of my time, like going back and forth, trying to figure out what venue was going to work, being a little discouraged, pushing through. And then there was one really luxury exclusive venue in Jackson Hole. And I was like, I've literally messaged everybody else. I'm just going to message them too. The worst they can say is no. And so anyway, I won't get into all of the details of that, but this venue, Antelope Trails, said yes. And it was what we had all longed for from the very beginning. And that took some serious networking on my part to get that venue for us. So for a planner, you need to put the work in to get what you want from the beginning. So we got the dream venue. We were so excited, got the dream venue. And then from there, I started doing serious research on florists. We all had a very specific vision for floral, and not all florists, Elizabeth can speak to this, not all florists create the same. It's a form of art, and we wanted to make sure we had a florist that we didn't have to be like, make it look just like this photo. We wanted the florist to be able to create in their own way that was in keeping with the vision. So I went through a lot of florist Instagrams and found Joni. And I knew when I saw her images, I was like, this is our gal. Like, she is it. And so I did what I could to get her on board. I talked at length with her. We talked about personal goals, business goals, and all of that. And then from there, Joni had a connection with a rentals girl that was new to the market. So this is something I have in my notes too. Don't be afraid to use somebody new if they align with your goals. So Celeste, she hadn't even started her business yet. And so this shoot was the catalyst for launching her business. And if she was here, oh my goodness, her ROI, like, you can't even put it to pen and paper. It's crazy. So she donated all of her rentals. She literally had she and I together decided on the chairs that she was going to put in her inventory for rental that we showcased at the shoot. So the logistics of all of that and the time you have to put in to curate the team that it's all going to work well together. That was a really, really big part of the shoot. I cannot stress that enough. As planners, you need to take the time to personally connect and make sure the team is going to be cohesive. Because if you don't, if you have a part of your team that like needs all the spotlight, or they don't align with you on the goal or the vision, then it's going to make the logistics of the day very difficult to execute. And the logistics of the day, I was thinking through this. Number one, I would say, is lighting. Okay. That's not how you run a wedding day, but for an editorial, we are going to plan the day around the sun. And that's where Mary Kate and Skylar came in, and like, what order do we want to shoot things? And so for the day, I had a timeline, and of course a timeline is fluid, but it gives you structure. If deviation is necessary, it gives you the parameters to do that, so it all still works. And so we collaborated on the timeline, and each person felt like their needs were met to do the very best job that they could do. And that's when creativity explodes. The way Mary Kate and Skylar captured the work that we all put in is mind-blowing. Okay, Skylar's video still makes me cry every time.
I'm gonna pull it up in a minute. I'm gonna pull it up in a minute. I dropped it in the chat,
chills,
but
like,
yeah.
Good.
So
I put it on my website.
It's just
like not even, it is part of my work, but I was like, Skylar, this is so good.
So good.
Can I use that?
I did put it in the chat if anybody wants to see it, because I'm worried my audio won't connect. But
so I don't know if that answered all of the logistical questions, but I do think having a planner is invaluable. Whatever planner you align with your vision, like the work that we have to put in to make sure every person's creative needs are met so they can flourish is so incredibly important.
I think something we have kind of danced around saying but haven't said exactly is, you guys are hearing how much we poured into this, how much Latham specifically poured into this, and how much planning and time this took to develop. And, you know, the reality is that this is not something you quickly throw together and it yields the results that we've gotten. So we're not saying like put together a really quick shoot. There's a time and place for that. You should be creative. If you have a gap in your portfolio and you want to show it and you've got people to do that, by all means, but that's not this. This took months. And the ROI was equal to the investment we put in. And when you're doing it on that scale, you're not doing it multiple times a year. Like this is not something we're doing 3 or 4 of a year, right? Like I think in 2023 we did, Mary Kate, you and I might have done 2. I can't remember if the other one was that same year. Yeah, 2 shoots.
Yeah.
Like 2 a year. Because I think it was April and September.
Yeah.
So we did 2. And in my opinion, like 2 is the max.
Yeah.
Personally,
Two's
for
a
that
lot.
level. 2's a lot. I would even say one
really good one.
well done, well executed per year that has a marketing budget and investment behind it.
Yeah.
So we're not talking about like we want to go for the weekend and shoot just this couple in a beautiful dress.
Like I said, I mean, we started having these conversations like as a group in January, and we didn't do the shoot until September. End of September.
I mean, and between the 6 of us, we have had conversations about more in the future. Some of those conversations, I can think of 2 off the top of my head that Mary Kate and I have been having for 2 years. And so some of them take time, like they do take time. And knowing the amount of time we have to invest in it and the budget and all that, and finding, here's the other thing, we wanted Jackson Hole in September. Like we did not have the option to be like, we'll do this at any point in the year. We wanted Jackson Hole in September. And so sometimes like Mary Kate and I have one in mind that we're like, okay, it's going to be 2027 if we do it at all, because we want this season. And so it is a long forward thinking process. Don't let that stop you from creating smaller things if that's what's in your wheelhouse.
Starlet and I do quite a
Mhm.
few smaller ones that might just be like one model or like portrait session type thing. We'll do some bridal stuff together that allow her to really work on some new hair and makeup ideas or things that are like up and coming, allow me to like really hone in on like more bridal posing and like dive into another outlet that I'm really interested in or whatever. So I think that's really important because I know I think for all of us, and we all probably do that, but for all of us, probably for each one of us in this chat, like we crave creativity and being able to do things that maybe we don't get the opportunity to like do on a wedding day. Just because there's so much going on, and ultimately the client is the focus, right? So the smaller stuff is important too, but by all means, like I think it's really interesting when people, you know, breaking all this down, like the Jackson Hole shoot, people don't normally have an idea like all that went into that. So it's
For
really
sure.
rewarding though. It's worth it.
I want to pick on Shar for a minute too, just because she can handle it. But let me guys tell you too that there are, and other people have commented. We had a comment from a DJ in the group saying he'd love to be a part of Styled Shoots and just give the vibe for the day. And I'm like, okay, there's a way to unpack that and figure that out. There's somebody who works with dogs on wedding days exclusively. I'm like, there's a time and place for that. I think too, people's worst characteristics, sometimes they minimize the impact of hair and makeup on these moments. I'm just going to say this. Shar is like what changes so much about how the level looks whenever we have our people in our photos. And it's not that she's just there to get them ready for the day. Ma'am, she's walking behind them, fixing every hair at all points and touching up makeup in each moment. So I just want to say, like, your vendors matter, and it doesn't matter if they're like the planner who's got her hands in everything or somebody who has an isolated role, because it's all the pieces that matter. And I couldn't imagine doing one of these shoots without Shar walking behind them.
Yeah.
Like at all. So, and then we've got florals. Like Elizabeth is tweaking everything constantly and worrying about every petal. Like this is not just like, is this table pretty? It's like, wait, that's drooping
Every
and
detail.
nobody knows that it is. Like, and like Skylar and Mary Kay are looking for angles. Like you don't understand photography, videography. It's not just like, let's set up a pretty picture. It's like backdrop, lighting, angles, all these things, places that other people wouldn't see, and angles, things people wouldn't see. And like everybody brings their thing to the table. And I feel like our biggest thing that we've said is like the vendors matter, but that's also why the vendors matter. And yeah, like all. So if you don't see their thing, it's just as crucial, just as crucial. Like Char's not dancing down the aisle, but we couldn't have done it without her. Well, you were dancing down the aisle, but not in the actual.
I think we all danced down the aisle.
Yeah, we probably did.
Kind of tag team on that, but somebody mentioned something about kind of having like too many cooks in the kitchen kind of thing. But I think coming from a sports background and not having like, it matters who has actual teamwork and who doesn't. It's kind of like if somebody is always a great team player, that stretches so much further than even just like, again, skill is only just a small part of it. Most of this stuff you can teach somebody one of these skills, but it's like their people skills. It's if they're willing to put in the effort, if they're willing to, take over their entire day. Because all of us, I mean, I don't know what time y'all went to bed. Latham, I think, got up at like 3 a.m. on that one shoot day. I don't know how much time Elizabeth spent doing floral installations, but like, this is like teamwork. And like, I would say that we've been really blessed with having like really, really great team players. Like, just because it's not somebody's job, they see the need and they fill it.
Yes.
And I mean, throughout the day, you may not need all of hair and makeup, or you may not need, I think Amanda was with us on Wyoming, but like kind of having like, I call them your gophers. like if you need something, you're just grabbing and doing, or you've got the fan on the bride because it's hotter than sin in the sun and stuff like that. It's just team players instead of, the hot shot running in and stuff. That's how you avoid having like weird moments during a day, is pick better personality people and that they're interested in the whole vision, rather like, again, tag teaming on top of all that. But
I can think of times where we were all unloading the truck, like unloading all the rentals off the truck, and like that's not a video job, that's not a photo job, but it's like we were all a team and like you had to get it done, so we got it done.
Yeah, absolutely. Hallie asked, did you all use this for supportive pictures of you doing your thing? So on the marketing side of things, I think you should optimize the crap out of this. You've invested in it, you've built this, you've worked for it. So the answer is yes, absolutely. Whether it's a phone video or the photographer or whatever you can get, but not selfishly. Like, right? Like you're not going to disrupt the timeline of the day to have a poor execution because you need this one photo. But if you go in and you're communicating people and say, hey, I would just love a shot of me. Like there's one of Latham in her like evening wear, because she really does wear that to events. And she's like fine tuning the table. And Mary-Kate got a gorgeous shot of her doing that. And Skylar got great video of like Mary-Kate in action and stuff. I got a ton of like behind the scenes phone video and we made like a group album and just passed this stuff around because it was for everyone. And we use it. And that's kind of where I wanted to go with that, is like when you create these shoots and you do these editorials, you should be maximizing the crap out of it. Like it goes on your website, it gets blogged, you use video backgrounds, like you post on social media repeatedly. Yes, you do submit it for publication if that's one of your goals. And you may have to wait for some of this so that you can submit it to publication. But I'm going to say a bold statement, like, I love that we were published. We shared all our stuff before we were published because that was the bigger ROI than being published. We knew we'd book more weddings by sharing than holding it close to our chest, hoping it gets published and then it be outdated. So, but it's on our websites, it's on our social, it's headshots, it's like all sorts of things. And that's one of the very reasons we created it, is so we could use it.
I will say, just like a side thing, like I think that's another perk to having like your own editorial, is that like when you're doing like a content day style shoot, you're probably not gonna get like, I have amazing footage that Skylar got of me like behind the scenes getting like doing my thing, and I don't have that unless he got it for me. I wouldn't have gotten that, like the quality of it, like it's just for me kind of thing, if I was participating in like a more group size content day. So that's also a benefit.
Yeah, definitely.
It's having that content.
So one last question, because I think we've talked about how everything was so great. It was hard, but it was great. And it took time. It was intentional. We used it and all these things. Let's talk about what goes wrong. Like, I mean, just
the wind.
The wind. Okay. And the leaves. The leaves fell off within 6 hours, you guys. We toured the venue. Beautiful golden aspens everywhere in Jackson Hole. The next day, there were a few of them. Like, you can't control everything. And I think, again, I hate to keep beating the dead horse, but like, the team is what helps you work through those situations. But I don't want everybody to believe that it's just easy either. Does anybody have any thoughts on that?
I know our timeline got pushed.
Yeah, our timeline got pushed
at times throughout that whole day, just because of so many different things. Wind and I don't know, having to iron, like even just taking the extra time to like steam and iron the linens for the table. Like, Latham did such a good job with that, but like one of us stepping in and helping her just get it done so that it would be ready for the table. And then that's part of like the flexibility of like, okay, maybe this isn't going exactly how we thought it would, even like a wedding day or whatever, and just pivoting a little bit. But I'll say, like, I think that honestly, because we were all flexible and like some of my favorite images were taken when they weren't supposed to be taken based on the timeline because, we just happened to get some really nice golden sunlight at a different time. And, like there were just things that like I think that we just we did get blessed in that way. But I think having a good attitude and willing to be flexible to some extent and being gracious is just all a part of it as well.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay, well, we've kind of run over time, so, we'll wrap it up. But thank you guys, everybody, for joining, and I hope everybody got a lot out of that. If you have any questions for everybody after this, feel free to post them in the like Marketing Week Facebook group, and I'll make sure that whoever your question is, they get the question and can give you an answer. And I hope this inspires you and gives you some ideas to make this concept your own. Like, we're not saying this is the way it has to be either. This is our experience. And anytime that you are led to create, I think it's a good thing. And this is just definitely one that has really, really blessed us. And I loved hearing from everyone related to that. So thank you guys for doing this for me and for everyone.
Thanks, Amanda.
This was fun.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Absolutely. All right. Well, we do have anybody that's in here. We do have VIP hours coming up in like 15 minutes. So hopefully I'll see you guys in the VIP lounge for audits and things like that. And if you need anything, as usual, head to the Facebook group. Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Thanks, guys.